Hello, you are listening to the Field Coach Experts podcast, where we share the secrets of field support that are unlocking hidden profitability in progressive brands across North America. We've been having so much fun helping brands implement the strategic growth coaching framework and getting people certified. I don't want to put too much of a timestamp on this podcast, but I do have to say that I'm thrilled that we have over 175 folks running around certified in franchising right now in North America. And so we're here today to share things that we're seeing, that we've learned, that we teach. And if you know me, you know that I love to make sure that people leave with actionable key takeaways. So of course, we'll get into that today. We'll make sure that there's some key takeaways, and we'll even have the Go Be Awesome challenge. Today, you got Jen and I. Jen, how are you this morning or afternoon, whatever time it is in your world?
It is afternoon and I am great. Just for our listeners, I just returned back from my bucket list adventure vacation. Spent a couple of weeks in Africa the last couple of weeks. So this is actually my kind of first official day back. So what better way to come back to work than doing a fun podcast with you?
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, I love that you did that bucket list trip. I think that you're definitely an inspiration to the AC team and probably others, everyone in your life, that you're so good at work hard, play hard. Like you work hard so you can play hard. And you inspire me to try to do more fun things. So thanks for that.
Good, good. I'm glad we've got one life and we got to live it to the fullest.
Yeah, you're so good at that. I love it. Okay, so today, first of all, did you notice my voice is back?
Yes, yes. The last one we did, you barely had a voice.
It was okay. One thing I want to say, it was embarrassing for sure. But for anybody that heard it, and if you didn't, go back and you'll hear like an old smoking grandma. So like that smoked her whole life sounding voice from me, and I don't smoke for what it's worth. But you know, it's funny when we decided to go forward and do that. I think we both were just living in the action equals growth core value that we live so much by at AC Inc. We knew that we can put it off and wait till my voice gets better, which we didn't know when that would be because I had continuous conferences at that time, and or we could just do it. And so we went for it. We just did it. We lived and breathed the action equals growth core value. Would you say?
I would say it was just let's get her done. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it might not be perfect, and that's what we try to also just emulate that. Not that we are okay with mediocrity or anything like that, but sometimes in order to move forward, you have to just go. So that's what we did. So for today, though, we're going to chat about long-term franchisee satisfaction. And if we get a little bit more, like that sort of sounds like a marketing title when I think about it. Really what we're getting at is like happy, profitable franchisees in the longer term. It's kind of easy to have them be happy and satisfied in the beginning when they're following the systems because they're like, this is awesome and I bought a franchise so that I could learn from the franchisor. But we seem to see this sort of drop off. So Jen, I'll get you to talk a little bit about what we see when it comes to this industry blind spot about franchisee long-term satisfaction and coaching.
Yeah, I actually think that this should be the number one goal of every franchisor is to have long-term franchisee satisfaction. Because if you achieve that, then you must be doing all the things right. Because just because your franchisees are profitable or making money or growing, yes, that's going to make them happy, but if there's a lot of gaps in the support that they're getting from their franchisor, if there's no community or collaboration and they feel like they're on an island, that's going to impact that. So I really think that focusing on that as your main goal is something that far too few franchisors do and actually would be able to put into words, because usually it's about having how many units can I have.
Yeah.
How much money can we be collecting in royalties? And, I really think that that's a fool's errand, because you can have 500 franchisees, but if half of them hate you or are suing you, that's really going to impact your future growth and amount of royalties that you'll collect. So I think today we're really going to talk about what that means and why are franchisees not satisfied, and how can franchisors really focus on that long-term franchisee satisfaction?
Yeah, for sure. And I think for anybody that might think, I need to focus on something more tangible, because that word like satisfaction, what you need, like it'll all fall into place. If franchisees are satisfied, they're happy, and I think the better word is actually sort of happy and profitable, right? Engaged, because they could be satisfied at a lower, and be
Yep.
complacent, right? So maybe we should use that word, or like that, maybe that description. If they are profitable and hitting targets that they should be hitting in their market, everything will fall into place. So it isn't fluffy. It's not like, oh, we're just happy franchisees. That sounds fluffy. No, it's not, because of what you just said. Like, things will fall apart. You get sued. Now you've got, franchise prospects that are like, hey, what's it like being a franchisee in this system? And everybody's like, it sucks. So let's just be real, right? Yeah. So what would you say to a franchisor? Because we see franchisors that say, oh, we do everything. We support them. We get them all up and running. We have playbooks. We do all these things, and we do weekly calls until about six. Once they're up and running, then we kind of give them some space and leave them alone. Like, what do you say to that?
I think that's quite common, actually, is we focus a lot on initial training and launch and creating, we've said this before on these podcasts, creating good operators, and then we out they go. It's like a little kid, out you go in the world, and now you're on your own, kind of thing. And if we're not supporting them in their growth of, just because they're a good operator, but their growth, and that means building the culture of the franchise and collaborating opportunities with other franchisees, and a really strong coaching program and great communication and all these other things, then what happens is their growth is typically, not all the time, but typically going to stall, and they're going to feel disconnected from the franchisor. And again, I always use it like feeling like their own little island over here, running their own business. So I think that is for sure a blind spot that a lot of brands have.
And I guess I want to just acknowledge that it is really important to get them off to a good start.
Sure.
Like, we've seen, I think there's data out there on this, but I know anecdotally for sure that franchisees that don't get off to a good start, is really hard to get them going, right? Like it.
Mm-hmm.
So it is important, and in fact, it's something that we do also help brands with, is that initial, what are you missing, which is usually some actual coaching strategies and things that they should be starting earlier. But then they get to that, yeah, they get going, and then the coaching can sort of drop off, or maybe it sort of keeps going. But let's jump right into this. I know we've talked about this before, but we can't say it enough. Like, high performing franchisees. What do you say about that?
Well, I
Because I know all I have to do is say that, and you're going to unleash. I know. So,
I know,
go.
and we've said it on this podcast. I hope people don't think we're broken records, but said it before. If we're not actively engaging with our top performers, keeping them in the system, utilizing them in ways that they are going to really as far as when I was a top performer, it was helping others. It was whatever it was with me that I could give back to the system. That's on one hand, that's kind of bringing them in, helping with projects and sitting on committees and things. But on the other side, it's actively coaching them. And we talk about this. This isn't necessarily on their operations. However, just because you're a top performer does not mean that you are also a stellar operator.
Yeah.
I have seen many top performers be top performers despite themselves, and creating their own systems and figuring it out, and are just in a market that they rocket. But if they were open to coaching even on the operations, they could even excel even more. But those that are still solid operators, as coaches, We want to be working with them as that accountability partner and a partner to help them figure out their vision long term and how they're going to get there. And it's really more about that long-term plan to achieve their goals and helping them talk through it and figure out how to do that, how to put things in action that they need to in order to move forward. So again, I think a lot of brands just leave their top performers to they're doing well, so they don't need us, and that is again just creating operators and not business owners, and not giving them the strategic growth coaching that they need.
Yeah, you and I have seen that when we've been speaking at conferences and things where especially when we do more of a workshop style, like a Fired Up Summit, where top performers have this revelation that they're getting stuck, they're getting in their own way. So they could be a high performer, top performer, but there's always room for more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could always add another unit, like location, like they could add many locations, territories, whatever. There's always different opportunities out there that are being missed.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, jump in.
No, I was just gonna say, or they become kind of complacent, and it's like, oh, I'm doing pretty well, paying my bills, putting some good money in my pocket, and I'm doing all the things. I'm in the top 20 or whatever it might be, and then maybe sometimes it becomes a little boring or same old, and I mean, that certainly happened to me because I didn't have anybody there coaching me and challenging me to think bigger and to help me put together that plan. So I know, and you were a franchisee as well, a multi-unit franchisee. Was there ever a time where you lost motivation or became complacent?
Absolutely. And I think what happens is, like, everybody, it's human nature. You can get sort of stuck in a rut. Mm-hmm. And if you ask me, and this is a key takeaway for everybody, like if you ask me what would have helped me get out of that rut so I could be more satisfied, so I could be more of a brand ambassador, and make more money, which would lead to more royalties for the franchisor, and we always want to keep franchisees, if you can reinvigorate them, it's better than moving them on, because it's a lot of costs and admin work and all that to move franchisees on. So if you say what would have worked, is somebody coming to me and saying, like, okay, what's, like, how are you feeling about this business? And then me kind of, it's all right, I'm getting a salary out of it, and I'm getting like a bit of flexibility and freedom in my life. But if they would have said, well, do you want more? And then kind of help me understand what that looked like, and maybe just brought me like fresh, new, not just ideas, but help me think of fresh, new ideas, like coached me, right? Like, well, let's go to a whiteboard and let's brainstorm, and let's reinvigorate. Like, what are some things you could do to drive more business, or to get more? One of the common things that happens, I think, with we've seen with higher performers or more experienced franchisees, is they have a manager in place, but they're not really developing the manager. Mm-hmm. So that manager's getting sort of stuck. And like, we had different managers over the years, and if somebody would have said, like, what if you could get Allie, was one of them, I'll just use her name, to like level up even more, and you could go do these things and maybe invest in another location, and help me brainstorm, like, how would we do that? Because that is the problem, is when you don't see, well, confused mind says no. We say this all the time at AC Inc. I didn't make it up, but stole it for sure. But it's good because it's so true, right? It's just, I would have some clarity, someone to like question me, not challenge me in a, condescending way, but in a supportive way.
Yeah.
Those are some things. And so I want, I guess, to just, one thing I want to just kind of realign on here for people that are listening, because we're going quite a bit into the higher performers, but this satisfaction or franchisee, performance, satisfaction, profitability, happiness, can happen to yeah, any stage franchisee, like, or not stage, but like any type of franchisee. So it could be a high performer, it could be an experienced sort of middle performer that, just kind of gets ho hum, and of course it can be low performers. And I kind of feel like giving a quick plug to FBR, Franchise Business Review, because if you don't know if your franchisees are satisfied and profitable and well, you should know if they're profitable, but if they're happy and all that, do a survey. Like, use the Franchise Business Review or do your own survey. Get an NPS score, Net Promoter Score. Go look that up if you don't know what that is. But find out. Actually, let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about why people don't want to know. Like, franchisors resist doing the survey. Like, if you were a franchisor, what would you be thinking?
Well, if I was a franchisor, I would be making sure that I do that. But a lot of they don't want to know. They make assumptions. They know that they get a lot of complaints and people aren't happy, and there's issues, or half the brand isn't profitable or whatever it is, and in their mind it's I know it. I don't want to hear it more. I don't want to hear it in a more official capacity. It's those franchisees. If they would just do what they're supposed to do, and follow the system, and just do what they're supposed to do, then they would be happier. But instead, they just blame us. And I want to challenge franchisors to, of course that does happen. We've both been franchisees, and we've worked with hundreds of brands. So we know that the easy thing for a lot of franchisees to do is to point the finger out and not point the finger in. But it's also the same for franchisors. And we know that the old model of giving, here's your ops manual, here's your brand guidelines, and here's some training, go off and be successful, we know that doesn't work. We've got years and years and years of data to prove that. And so understanding what is going on with your franchisees, why they're not satisfied, and then looking inward at your franchise, your systems, your support, and figuring out what can we do better, and then focusing on changing that, because those moves will really help your franchisee satisfaction. Doesn't mean they're not still going to point the finger back, but we have to know what we're doing well and what those areas of opportunity are, so that we can really address them.
It's another expression. Growth comes from outside the comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right? You have to get out. It's just like anything. Like, whether it's you're trying to get healthy and fit and you got to go do some kind of exercise you don't like to do, or whether you're trying to grow as a leader and you have to do something hard. Like, as a franchise, you want to grow, sometimes you have to do hard things, and then also it shows the franchisees, when you survey them or you ask them, or however you find out if they're satisfied, and if they're if they're sticking with you for the longer term, it shows them that you care. So that helps your culture too, right? It's a big thing. Let's talk a little bit more about ways to know when franchisees are not happy, kind of on the whole, or like clues. And I'll throw one in there, and then I'll let you, maybe if you can think of other things. But one dead giveaway is engagement. So and when I say engagement, it's like, are they showing up to all system calls, like Zoom calls? Are they coming to your conference? And if they are, is it just because you're making them pay no matter what, or do they actually want to be there, right? Are they raising their hand to be on committees or other things, or to have those conversations? Are they showing up to their one-on-one calls? So engagement is a massive indicator, I think, of franchisee satisfaction. What are some other things, whether individual or system-wide, that you can think of that indicate franchisees might not be satisfied?
I think, obviously hearing from them, getting feedback, whether it's they've told their coach, or marketing, they've written in, given feedback forms or whatever. Obviously, we're going to hear that, or we hear a lot of rumors. Right? You've got one franchisee that, if any franchisors out there, quite often franchisees will have their own community Facebook page or Slack channel or something like that. And then you have the franchisee that likes to come and tell you what's going on over there. So
Excellent.
hearing that kind of that verbal viewpoint from your franchisees. But I think you're right in that not engaging, not participating. It worries me when the mindset is no news is good news.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't heard from so and so for a long time, so things must be okay, right? That is a big thing I'd love to say as far as a to do for franchisors is give your franchisees that opportunity for culture, collaboration, and communication. So that because that is only going to encourage more participation and engagement and connection with the franchisor. So
With
we've
each other,
got to
you're
have,
saying. You're saying, right? Making sure that you give them opportunities to come
you,
together to learn from
yes,
each other.
yes. Whether it's great Slack use of Slack. I've seen Slack used unbelievably for
Mhm.
that communication. Having regional meetings, having individual training sessions that, oh, I want to learn more about, profitability and how to read my P&L better. We're going to offer these trainings. People can participate and develop their skills. Conferences, team calls, like all of these things that we're giving opportunities for them to come together, not just hear from us as the franchisor, here's the announcements, but to
Mhm.
learn from one another. Maybe we do roundtables, peer-to-peer roundtables, collaborate, get help, just know we're not alone and we're all
Mhm.
sharing the same challenges and maybe we're all problem solving them together. And having building that culture. And one other thing that is such an important element is transparent and open communication, because that makes people feel involved and they're part of something bigger when they're hearing from their franchisor and what's new, what's going on, what are the goals, what are the new initiatives, all of these things. They're doing an FBR survey. Here's the results of the survey. So I think communication with your franchisees, regular and consistent, is really, really important as
Yeah,
well.
it's going to drive that satisfaction. I'm going to give an example of when you say transparent, because I know sometimes people think, oh, we're being transparent, or what do you mean by that? So just whenever a franchisor makes, especially a bigger decision, I think a help, not just think, you need to make sure that you're communicating why you chose that, why you're making that decision. Even, for example, if they're choosing a new software system that all
Mhm.
franchisees need to adopt, which is always a pain point and a fun one. And there's always going to be things, every software system is going to have things that someone loves and things that people don't love or even hate. And I would just, if I were launching, I'd be like, let's get out ahead of this. If I were the one building that communication, I'd say, okay, so first of all, we used franchisees' input to decide on the system. That's transparency that we, A, used it, and B, we're going to tell you that we used the franchisees. Make sure you know that we didn't just come up with this sitting in our desks and home office. But also, here's what we love about it, and we're going to get out ahead of, like, there's some things that we don't love, but when we assessed all of this, these were the lesser of the evils. So you aren't going to love this about it, but remember that we did this. So that's an example of
Yeah,
transfer.
huge.
Here's a,
And can I tell
here's
you
a,
my pet peeve?
yeah, yeah.
My pet peeve as a franchisee is when we've got this new amazing product or this new initiative and we're going to roll it out and we're going to do all these things. And then maybe they try or maybe it doesn't happen, but nobody ever mentions it again. And you're like, hey, what happened to that
Oh, so they don't
thing?
follow through?
Or yeah, there's no follow through, but there's no, like, if you tried something and you just weren't happy about it, it wasn't right for us as a system, tell
Admit
us.
it. Yeah.
Explain it to us. Because what happens is now we lose trust in that,
Yep.
oh, one more initiative that's not going to go anywhere. Why
Yep.
should I put my attention on it, in adopting it when it's not going to work, when they're just going to change their mind? I hated that so
Mm.
much. So big pet
Yeah.
peeve.
Yeah, so that's
Don't
a
do
key
that.
takeaway for anybody.
Yeah.
Don't make Jen angry. No, just
Right.
kidding. The key takeaway is to to own it. And sometimes it's just giving information, and sometimes it is actually going to be owning it and having to kind of put your, big boy pants on and just say like we kind of overpromised on this, and we thought, and don't try not to overpromise, but if you do mess up, and that's going to impact franchisee satisfaction and trust big time if you
For
get
sure.
into that mess. And even just small things like when it comes to transparency, I always tell the story about a product that got discontinued. We were retail frozen food chain, so retail, certain products sold really well, and of course others didn't. But for us, this one product that got discontinued, we didn't know why. We saw like on our Friday memo, it was like that, all the updates, and by the way, this product's discontinued. And we're like, what? And then, it affected us. And we feel like the franchisor doesn't understand the front lines, right?
Right.
Well, then we later found out that supplier went out of business or stopped making the product or something. So if they just told us it's not available, we wish we could get it for you, we're doing everything we can to find a substitute and an alternative that we can, work on, we wouldn't have been mad. We would have been more satisfied. So those are some good things. I wanted to say before, my imagination was going off when you said no news is good news, which is not true. Like, that isn't true, right? You were saying like no news is not good news, but all I could think about was like the toddler that's off in the other room, and you realize, wait, it's a little quiet over there, and then you go over and they've used a Sharpie all over the wall, they've cut their hair, they've tie-dyed their own shirt. I mean, I don't know if they could do that, but that's not a good. It's a red flag probably if you're not hearing anything. So I know we're getting close to the end, but I think that we should throw in a little bonus tip. I think for people that are wondering, I know that when I facilitate roundtables or all the things that we do, people say, well, how do you get them engaged? Going back to the collaboration, when we talked about you should offer these things, people are like, we offer roundtables and no one shows up. We do this, we do this. No, first of all, that in itself might be a sign that something's missing, and maybe you need to also help your coaches get better professional development so that they know how to get franchisees engaged and show up to those things. But if we're giving them a quick tip, like, I don't know, can you think of one thing, like, okay, they're not showing up, like, any quick tip to how to get franchisees to show up to like a big roundtable for the whole system or whatever?
Well, I think also making sure that there's value for the franchisees. If franchisees aren't showing up, sometimes, not always, because sometimes, especially owner operators that have to be out in the trucks to see customers and stuff, it's hard. But we have to make sure that whatever that thing is that we want them to come to, there's value. What is attracting them? Why do I want to take time out of my busy day, because I got a big long list of things to do and customers to serve? Why am I going to protect this time to come to this roundtable or team call or whatever? What's in it for me? What value are you going to give to me? So really making sure that the value is there and that we work hard to communicate that and the importance of coming to these things. I love using the term protect this time in your calendar, because this is what it's going to do for you, basically.
What's in it for me?
Right. The what's in it for me. That we got to lead with that, because we can't just assume, oh, everybody's going to want to come. Right. Well, if you have
maybe at the beginning
for them.
Yeah. And maybe at the beginning when they're kind of like, I need help, I'll come. But I'm going to add on to that. I was going to think if I want to give a different one, but I'm going to add to it. So how to find out if it, or how to make it valuable, I would say go ask like middle performer franchisees, what would be valuable on a call, like survey them or get the coaches to ask them. So find out what they think they want and need. I'd also add in what you name sessions can be a thing, because franchisees, I hated the word corporate, head office, it sounded so stuffy. So like if you're having a marketing call, don't call it a marketing call, call it, you can if you think your franchisees will like that, but you could call it like a lead generation call, or how to get more money in your pocket by getting more leads call, right? And then I would say, I love what you said, like communicate the value. One way you can do that is have franchisees be ambassadors that say, and not always top performers, because the other franchisees sometimes go, oh, well, Jen's wired differently, I'll never be like her, so that would work for her, but it won't work. Get the middle performers sometimes being the champions of your things that you're trying to get them. Have them reach out to 5 peers, or have them record a video saying, here's why I get so much value out of these roundtables or something. Yeah. So there, I think we gave a lot of things.
We did.
If you didn't get anything out of this, that's your fault, not you, the listener. Now I'm blaming the, no, I'm just kidding. But I think there's a lot of little takeaways in there. People should, go back and survey, find out if they're happy, make sure you're not just stopping coaching just because the franchisees kind of on their own, doing their own thing. Watch out for no news. That's not good news. Transparency. We gave examples on how to do that. So I think people should have some good stuff to work with. Let's do the Go Be Awesome challenge.
Oh,
so right. I mean, there were a bunch of things we said, but if somebody wants to go be awesome, that's one way to look at it. What should they take away from this, and what could they go do this week? What's something that's coming to mind for you, JB?
Oh, for me, what?
Come up with something. Anything we said or a new thing.
One thing that they could do is, I think that personally, examine and this may be not the number one, but examine what you're currently doing to build culture and collaboration and communication within your franchisees. Really look at what you're doing and look at, is this enough? What other options are out there? Come to our roundtables and hear from other franchisors. What are they doing? And really examining how you're doing it, and are there some other opportunities, and pick one and try it out.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I love that you just threw in a little quick plug for the roundtables. That was good too. So if anyone's listening, franchisor only, we've got one for the field teams. We've got one for the marketing folks on the franchise team. They're free. You can find me on LinkedIn, send me a DM, send me an email if you've got my email address, whatever, Angela@fieldcoachexperts.com. So those are some good things people can go do. Also, if you're hearing all this and going, I kind of realize now I might need help with this. Guess what? Reach out to us for help. I mean, we've got, and really a lot of it comes down to those folks in the field that we love to champion, because they're often the ones dealing with, usually they're the ones dealing with all of this. Franchisee satisfaction, disengaged franchisees, trying to facilitate collaboration and all that. If they have the right skills, tools, and training, which we provide in all different ways, then you will see a difference, guaranteed.
Absolutely.
So reach out if you are curious. We are here for you. And until next time, go be awesome.